You're joining me this week in this beautiful looking crop of oilseed rape here in the Fens being grown by farmer John Barnett. And I've brought along some of the relatives of this crop. So if you look here, I've got some mustard, I've got some tender stem broccoli, I've got some radish, and I've got some regular broccoli. And these guys are all related to each other. They're all descended from a common ancestor. And this really kind of illustrates the power of plant breeding, that we have these very different products with very different uses, and I mean very different looking plants, all as a result of selective breeding. Now that tees me up very nicely for an announcement from our members Earthbase this week, where they are opening a new innovation centre. So this will help really turbocharge the already excellent R&D underway in breeding, innovation in seed treatment with Earthbase. So bravo Earthbase, great news, not just for you as a business, but for UK plant breeding and indeed beyond. So fantastic news there. Right, now, public sector, do you use fertiliser? There is a public consultation that has opened that the governments across England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland want to hear your views. So there's some thinking around kind of modernising and overhauling the current fertiliser legislation and replacing it with a new regulatory framework. The kind of working title is UK Fertilising Products Regulation. Now, the idea is to make the regulation fit for purpose, to ease the passage and introduction of new products, to look at some of these new materials that are coming through, these new products coming through that perhaps more environmentally appropriate. Now, this is not a decision to be taken lightly, so the government is very keen for your input. So whether you use, manufacture, distribute, advise on, analyse, do QA, care about fertiliser, please head over to the DEFRA website. It will then take you to another website for the public consultation to have your say. This is really important. Okay, welcome to some new members this week. First one I'd like to give a shout out to is Earthbase. So you may remember we were working with Earthbase as part of the Arise project. Earthbase has developed a very clever AI-empowered proprietary platform that really helps companies, investors, funders, indeed whole ecosystems to be able to get a handle on the likely success, the potential gaps and opportunities for companies within that ecosystem. So if you are a company just wanting to get a piece of analysis done about what your new opportunities are likely to be, your potential for internationalization, or if you're an investor wanting to do due diligence on a company you might be looking at, the Earthbase platform gives you very unique insights into probably the likely success of that company. So welcome Earthbase. And also the East Malling Trust. So East Malling, as you probably know, is based in Kent, and East Malling Trust is a charity that funds and supports research into plant science, particularly horticulture. And obviously there's a big emphasis on fruit. If you've ever been down there this time of year, or maybe a little bit later, you'll start to see the blossom on the trees and then the harvest of the fruit, top fruit and berries. Absolutely fantastic site down there. And East Malling Trust is really the sort of empowering force behind some of that activity. So East Malling Trust, you are very welcome. And this week we've had catch-ups with PGRO, so talking about peas and beans and all things leguminous, interactive software, intelligent growth solutions, and I had a great catch-up with Andrew McShane from Hutchinsons, where I learnt an awful lot about what the impact of, well, really the complexity of supply chains around fertiliser and ag chem. Okay, that will do for now, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Agri-Tech update. Subscribe, share and stay connected. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to get the latest